Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming today to our second workshop with Gear Up. Today it's the family workshop series, making a high school plan. And this is what we'll be covering today. As you can see on the screen, it will be we have two guest speakers today. One is our high school counselor, and the other one is a Maricopa College counselor. Our high school counselor, and I'll introduce her in a bit, we'll cover the A through G requirements, the advanced placement classes, and the Ccgi. So we'll be covering like the 4-year plan. That way you guys will be aware of what classes your child are taking these next 4 years. The Maricopa College Counselor will talk about the dual enrollment and Maricopa Colleges for high school students. So that's a few little things we're going to be covering. I am Ismariceli Antonio Rios, or I go by Izzy. Your child will know me as Miss Izzy. I am the Gear Up coordinator. There's actually 2 of us. We just hired the second coordinator, so he will be with us on the next workshop next month. But now our guest speaker is Kelly Brinkerhoff. She is one of our counselors here at El Camino High School. So I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Brinkerhoff.
Hi, thank you for joining us. I am going to share my screen. Hopefully I can do that smoothly here. And Miss Izzy, will you give me a thumbs up if you can see the presentation?
Thumbs up.
Okay, great. All right, so this is our 4-year plan workshop parent edition. This is what we'll be starting to work on with your students next week. So high school counselors are going to be meeting with all of the freshmen starting on Monday, and the last day will be November 1st, so that we can meet with all of them to go over the information I'm going to share with you tonight, as well as make their 4-year high school plan. Of course, the first year is done. They've got their freshman classes all set for the year, but we'll be continuing on with 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Over here. So, and this presentation will be made available to you on the Gear Up website. I believe Ms. Izzy might even be posting the link to this presentation in the chat, so that if you wanted to, open it on your computer, you could do so and click on some of the links, but you'll be able to go back and see these slides again. So if I go too fast, you can either let me know, or just know that you'll be able to go back and see them. So we have our students divided alphabetically. So if your child's last name starts with A or B, then Miss Ruiz is their counselor. Last name C, D, and E, then I am their counselor, Kelly Brinkerhoff. And if your last name starts with F, G, H, or I, you have Miss Felix. J, K, L, W, X, Y, Z is Miss McCann. M and N is Miss Takasuki. O through R is LPQR is Mrs. Cruz, and then STUV is Miss Hunter. Then you'll see the column that says specialties. So if your child has an IEP, then they have a case manager. And so we partner up with case managers. For example, my case managers are Toby Crone and Visna Keo. So if those were your child's case manager, then I would be their counselor regardless of what the last name is. So hopefully that makes sense. We have our extensions, our direct extensions here, and our email addresses. We are here to help your child every day. We talk about grades, credits, college and career planning, as well as personal things, social, emotional. And that we do tell the students that we do have confidentiality with them, so they can feel free to open up. What they say with us stays with us. However, we do also explain that there are exceptions to confidentiality when someone's safety is at risk. So that's when we would have an exception and definitely let the parents know. So what is a 4-year plan? We think of it as kind of a roadmap to help the student meet their not only their goals in high school, but whatever they're planning to do afterwards. It is flexible. So when they make their 4-year plan their freshman year, we always tell them it's not, carved in stone. It's something that can be adjusted as they go along, as their plans change. So no matter what they think they want to do now, whether it's go to college, whether community college or 4-year college, join the military, or go to some type of career or technical training, we want to help them get there. So we have some sample 4-year plans for students and parents to look at. And the choices are from basic, where you get your high school diploma, which opens the door to the military and, you know, some jobs, and community college, to the most rigorous, which would potentially open doors to more competitive universities. The optimum path for a student would be challenging, but also allowing them to maintain a 3.0 or higher. So they wouldn't want to take too many AP classes if they couldn't keep their GPA up. If they do get D's or F's, they have to repeat those classes for college admission. D's are considered a passing grade, and you do get credit for D's, so that would earn the credit for the diploma. Just it would have to be repeated if they want to go straight to a 4-year college. And of course, if they fail a graduation requirement, they have to repeat it for graduation credit. And they must earn 220 credits to graduate. So here is an example of those options that I was talking about a minute ago, from basic graduation requirements in the upper left-hand corner to the most demanding in the bottom right, and then recommended college entrance requirements in the top right. So like for the UCs, 2 years of world language is required, but 3 is recommended. 2 years of science is required, but 3 is recommended. So that would be like for the UCs. And then the minimum college entrance requirements would be like for the Cal States. If a student wants to graduate with honors, they must achieve a 3.5 GPA. This is cumulative from 9th grade through their senior year. And the point at which we determine whether someone has achieved honors is after the first semester of their senior year, so December of their senior year. So that's the 7th semester that they're in high school. So the 3.5 GPA is one of the criteria. They must take 4 AP or community college classes, and those community college classes have to be 100 or higher. One of those classes needs to be English, so they can take AP English language in 11th grade or AP English literature in 12th grade, or they could take an English 100 or higher course at MiraCosta. 1 math or science, 2 additional AP or approved college courses of their choice. So it could be anything at the college or AP classes at the high school. In addition to that, they would need to get 50 hours of approved community service earned during grades 9 through 12. And finally, they would submit an autobiographical essay or their personal insight questions that they write for their UC applications during their senior year. I do have a link to the community service. I'll click on it and hopefully I can get back. Figure it out. So is everybody seeing our community service website here? Is that what you see, Miss Izzy? Okay. So the form that they would need to fill out is here. They would click on that. If they're looking for a place to volunteer, we have some opportunities that they could look at on our website. So that link is available for you in the presentation. Okay, CTE Pathways. CTE stands for Career Technical Education. So we have several pathways at El Camino High School, and not all students will be interested in one of the career pathways that we happen to have. So any student can take a pathway course as long as they're willing to commit to exploring that career possibility. Because when you do take a pathway class, it's a 2-year commitment. You take the starter class and then the second class, and then you have completed that pathway, and then you have job skills in that area that you could potentially get hired with. So the CTE pathways that we have are design, visual, and media arts, systems, diagnostic, service, and repair, cabinetry, millwork, and woodworking, software systems and development, and production and managerial arts. The ones that you see highlighted in yellow were pathway courses that were available to our incoming freshmen. So you may have a student that's taking graphic design, auto 1, woodworking 1, or AP computer science this year. And if that's the case, then to complete that pathway, they would take the second course that you see. They're the pathway, production and managerial arts. If they want to do TV and video production, followed by broadcast journalism, they can start that pathway in 10th grade. So here I have a lot of links for you. We have our California Colleges Academic Planner, our El Camino High School A to G list, our course catalog, and then tools for mapping out your 4-year plan. I'll click on the first link because parents can register for an account. And if you register for an account, you'll be able to view your students' California Colleges account and see the activities that they've completed. You won't be able to do anything to it, you know, or change anything. So if they've got some classes in there that you think they should take something different, then you could just have that conversation with them. They can go in and edit it themselves at any time. So it's definitely flexible. They can edit it. So what you would do as a parent is right here, click on register. And it says, tell us who you are. So you are the parent or guardian. And then, you know, you put in Oceanside for the school district, it will come up. And then of course, El Camino will come up. It's the top one. And then you go to the next. And what you'll need is your child's birthday, which you probably know, and your student's ID number, which is on Aerie. So if you don't know their ID number, you can ask, they have it on their ID card, but also it would be on Aerie's. And then you could continue through the registration process. I'll just stop there for now. So I would encourage you to go ahead and register. It's free, and we are a partner district, so we have some opportunities for our students because of that partnership that can benefit them later on when they're applying to colleges and for financial aid. So the next link is for our El Camino High School A to G course list. And let me get that a little bit bigger. So A through G is the college admission requirements. The letter A is for the subject of history and social science. The letter B is for English, C is for math, D is for science, E for world languages, F for visual and performing arts, and G is for college prep electives. And so you can see all the courses that we offer in all of those A to G areas. And it also tells you how many years is required, like the history, social science. To get into the university, 2 years is, these are not the graduation requirements. So let me kind of separate that out for a minute. The A to G requirements and the graduation requirements are very, very close, but actually our graduation requirements are a little bit more, because to get into the university, you need 2 years of history, social science, but to get a diploma from Oceanside, you need 3. So all of the students are going to be taking world history in 10th grade, US history in 11th grade, government for a semester, and economics for a semester in 12th grade. So as long as they get C's or higher, then they are A to G on track. So when we say a student's A to G on track, that means the no D's in their college prep classes. Let's see, here's our course catalog, which is very informative, has a lot of great information. Of course, it's 52 pages, and I'm just going to focus in on the graduation requirements so that you know where they are. It is page 4. And we have the areas, the A to G areas, what OUSD requires, like I just went over in the A category, world history, US history, government and econ. Well, for sports, the NCAA Division I requires 2 years. CSU requires 2, UC requires 2. So as you see, we have a higher requirement for our diploma than that. And then English is 40 credits, which is the equivalent of 4 years. So every full year class gets 10 credits. So 9th grade English, they pass first semester, they get 5 credits. They pass second semester, they get 5 more for the total of 10. Math, they need 30 credits, which is the equivalent of 3 years. However, the vast majority of our students, almost all of them, take math all 4 years. So that 4th year of math would count as elective credits. Anytime you go over and above, it's going to be counting towards elective credits. And I'm not sure if I'm going too fast or too slow. So if anybody wants to let me know. What do you think, Miss Izzy?
Can you repeat the question?
Am I too fast or too slow? Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay. So, and then I guess, when we get to, okay, I got a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Ms. Aguilar. They need 2 years of science. One has to be life science, one has to be physical. Almost all of our freshmen are in biology or biotech this year. If they're not, you can see that because they need 2 years, it's okay. They've got the 4 years to get it done, but most of our freshmen take their life science. And then typically a 10th grader will take their physical science, but not always. It doesn't always fit in with everything else they might want to do, whether they're a band student or whether in CTE or AVID or something like that. They may not be able to fit everything in. So world language is 20 credits or level 2. And level 2 would be the equivalent of like Spanish 2 or French 2. So for our Spanish speaking students, they can take Spanish for Spanish speakers in 1 year. And that is a level 2 course, and they can meet their graduation requirement that way. Art is 10 credits and electives 50. PE is 20, which is 2 years, and they have to take PE in 9th and 10th grade. Back to the presentation. And I don't usually talk this much because I listen for my job. So I'm like,
We have a hand raised.
oh, okay, great. Go ahead, Rodriguez.
Okay, would you please repeat the part where you mentioned where you talk, bless you, where you talk about the English speakers taking the 1 year of the Spanish class?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, so if they already speak Spanish, they learned it in their family growing up. We have a class called Spanish for Spanish speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And Spanish for Spanish speakers level 1 is a level 2 class, because we have Spanish for Spanish speakers 1 and Spanish for Spanish speakers 2. And if they take either one of those classes are 1 year courses, and they meet our graduation requirements, so they don't have to do a second year. Now they get 10 credits, but they meet the graduation requirement. And there's another hand up. So we've got Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Meredith.
Yeah, so on the chart where it was talking about the NCAA, is that going to be the highest, most rigorous potential, or is the UC system the highest potential rigorous program?
The UC.
Okay, so you want to aim for UC potentially, and then everything else is lower possibly. Okay,
Yeah, depending on, the student's goal.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of both academic and sports, so that's why I was
So if they,
wondering NCAA, which way do we go? Do we go UC or NCAA?
yeah, you want to be comparing them both, which is why I pointed out that chart is so nice, because let me see if I can get back to it. There it is.
I have that at home, so I can look at it. Yeah. Okay, so the UC is the highest, most classes, like recommended 3 versus 2, etc., right? Oh, did I lose you? Are you guys frozen?
I think we lost Ms. Brinkerhoff.
Oh, okay. All right. So what she was saying is the UC has got the most, I could see it on the chart. It's asking for 4 years versus 3 years. So shoot for the UC if that's what we potentially think, but athletically we would be okay because NCAA is potentially lower. Was kind of my question. So that makes
it makes sense. It makes sense. I don't want to give the wrong answer. And I want to make sure we hear from her as well. But if UC is the one that we're looking for, we always want to aim for the UC, even if we want to do it'll be our best shot.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way I was reading it. And I'll make note for my son when he meets with his counselor.
We got her back. Okay.
Oh, there.
I am not sure what happened.
That's okay. I think you answered my question. I was asking
Okay.
about E versus NCAA, and I think
Right.
that on his potential goals, shoot for UC, and anything short of that is going to be okay. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so if your student happens to be in a class like an ELD class, English Language Development is what that stands for, or ALW, Academic Language and Writing, or if your student has an IEP and they have an academic ASLC class, we like to abbreviate everything, ASLC, ASB, math support, marching band, pageantry, ROTC. Those are non-A to G classes. Those count as elective credits, and they do count towards the 220 credits that a student needs to graduate. And we do have students with IEPs that are in academic support all 4 years that meet the UC admission requirements. So no matter what the situation is, we can always help the student tailor their plan to meet their individual goals. So things to keep in mind, we're going to be sharing this with the students to look at the sample rubrics for ideas, which is on page 49 in the course catalog, but also in this presentation. If your goal is to be an honors grad, you want to make sure you plan in those 4 AP or community college classes. If they're hoping to play sports in college, they want to review pages 4 and 44 of the course catalog, and also check our El Camino A to G list for options in the F and G subject areas. Okay, so we're going to have them entering their plan into California colleges where I said you could register for an account. So once they're done, they can check the CSU and UC eligibility tabs. Counselors and parents who have registered accounts will be able to view all of those four-year plans in the academic planner on CCGI, which is California, oh gosh, I just lost it. I was going to say California Colleges Guidance Initiative. I think that's what that stands for. But definitely want to take a look at your students' 4-year plan. And remember, it's flexible, not set in stone. So it's like they're picking their classes for 10th and 11th and 12th grade, but we still sit down and actually do that scheduling meeting in the spring as well, where we actually pick their classes for the next year. Okay, it's Q&A time. We might be almost out of time, but it's Q&A time. Anybody have questions?
The Spanish group is running a little behind, so we have a little bit more time for Q&A.
Well, thank you for coming. If you don't have any questions, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll just be here if you do. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Once they meet with the counselor and they kind of come up with that plan and I look at things, I basically would be working with my son, not necessarily talking to the counselor at the school, right? My son talks to the counselor. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll meet with all the students. We have a presentation for them similar to this one to hopefully help them understand what they need to do for high school, but we also want to get them thinking ahead. And then you'll be able to see that on their California Colleges account. So I would, if you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out to the counselor. Especially if the student's confused, like they sometimes go home and, maybe didn't quite understand.
Exactly. That was, I'm like, I need somewhat of a mediator potentially between the school and the student.
We're definitely here to help. Thank you.
We highly recommend for parents to create an account with CCGI so they can have, you'll be able to see that, because that's something that we will be using for the 4 years. And Gareb is going to fully support our counselors to get that running, and so the kids will know exactly what they need to do in the next steps. Awesome. If there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and move Ms. Kelly Brinkerhoff over to our Spanish one, and then our counselor for the dual enrollment will be jumping in a few minutes.
Should I just click leave room?
I can go ahead and move you over to the Spanish. You should see it. Awesome. In the meantime, I'll use this time as we're getting them over. Sorry, I have a parent tech. So for all of you who, if you're new to Gear Up program, or if this is your first workshop, Gear Up does have a texting service. And as long as we get your consent to add you to texting services, you're able to text us. So you actually will text me. I'll be able to look at your messages. And that's what I was looking right now. There's a parent who's having difficulties trying to log into our website. But just give me a call on my office or send me an email letting me know that you consent to me having your cell phone number linked to our texting services. The first few text messages will be automated because our system's trying to recognize who you are. But other than that, definitely you'll be able to speak to us. But let me go ahead and share my screen. So I want to make sure I share this with all of you since we have that time, and I know we're going to end up running out of time. Our next guest speaker, there we go, is Liz Leguizamo. She is the counseling department counselor, and she's also overseeing the dual enrollment aspect. We also have her colleague, Taylor Torona, and he is a America's counselor as well. And they'll tell you, they'll go over what the dual enrollment benefits of it and how the students are getting college credits and high school credits at the same time. But this is something that I also wanted to bring up. Gear Up does offer, and I'm pretty sure many of you have received this in the mail, financial literacy courses for free. So the student can create an account and the parent can create an account. The fees are covered by Gear Up. The link is right here. And then once you sign up and do one of the lessons or the first lesson, you enter into a $50 gift card. That's how much we want to make sure that you take opportunity of the service and enroll. Do you guys have any questions? Do you have any questions regarding this financial literacy service?
Where would we find that? Is it on your website or?
This right here is on our website. So all this information is strictly on our website, and then I put it in our chat. The link that I gave, that's our website.
Oh, okay. So the chat, when I click on that, that'll take me to your website.
Yes, and you will find them right there.
I will find it. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Let me just double check to see if they're ready for us. Okay. Awesome. So let me see who we have in this room, because many of you, I for sure know one of you, but I don't know the other two. I know Miss Meredith, I know you have a 9th grader, so that's awesome. Hopefully I had the privilege of meeting them like in person. Miss Carmen, do you have a 9th grader or a 10th grader without giving your child's name out?
10th grader.
10th grader. Have they been part of Gear Up since middle school?
No, I don't think so.
What middle school are they coming from?
McCullough?
Oh,
I mean,
okay. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Ms. Carmen? I might have lost you. Do all of you feel comfortable with the presentation that our counselor at El Camino gave? Was it very informative? Yeah, awesome. I'm so glad. Do you have any questions regarding Gear Up in particular that I might be able to answer during this time?
No, I think I have to go through your website and then I'll probably have questions and then I can just text you.
Yeah, definitely. Please use that texting services to your advantage.
Okay. I think I don't know what I don't know yet.
So just a little background for our grant. This is our second grant with MiraCosta College with Gear Up. I originally was in the first grant and I started off as a Gear Up tutor. And I started moving position up until I became a coordinator. So I've been holding a lot of hats within the Gear Up program. This is should be about my 8th year, maybe going on to my 9th year with Gear Up. So it's always really fun to see the changes that we go through and new faces that I see, and you know, the just a bond that we create with with families, not just students. The first grant was only originally with Chavez Middle School and Jefferson Middle School. This grant, the second grant, it included all 4 middle schools within the Oceanside Unified School District. So we have King Middle School, Chavez Middle Schools, Lincoln, and Jefferson Middle School. Because we follow the kids when they move to the high schools, we came along with them. So anybody, even coming from McCullough or coming from the other campus, other schools, even out of district, once they step into OUSD grounds or OUSD high schools, they're part of Gear Up automatically. There's no application you need to fill out. As long as you start, you know, with us, you're part of us pretty much. And any services that we give out should be free at no cost to you. So I want to make sure that you know, is emphasized that anything that we provide, because it's a grant, it's always offered to you. And if there is one event, and I'll be very honest, that we do ask for a deposit. And the reason why we ask for the deposit is just to hold your chair. Miss Maria knows a little bit more about it because she's been part of it. We call it our overnight college trips. These overnight college trips, we go either, you know, up in LA, up to, Miss Maria, did you go to the San Francisco area with us, or we haven't been there yet with this cohort?
No, we haven't been to that one.
Okay. Okay, thank you. But we'll end up going like to the Bay Area and check out the schools over there, because we want to expose the students to these campuses as well with the parents. So the kids say, I don't want to go with my parent. I don't like spending time with my parent. But at the end, they really enjoy viewing these universities with the parent alongside. We pay for the transportation, the hotel, the food, and we really try and have a good time. Huh, Miss Maria?
Oh yeah, it's a great experience.
That sounds wonderful. When do you guys normally do that?
Well, we had it planned for this Thanksgiving break, but due to COVID, I don't think that's going to be possible.
Right.
So once
So
yeah.
the next Thanksgiving?
Hopefully next Thanksgiving, if the restrictions become, you know, get lifted a little bit, then we'll be able to do it this following spring. So we will send that that information too.
Great. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's when do we leave? It's two days and 1 night, right, Miss Maria? Last time it was 2 days, 1 night.
That's correct.
Yeah. So once you see those out, please get that application and submit it. And something that I always tell the parent is, even if you think you might not go, I'd rather get your application, because for me, it's easier to pull you out than try and put you into the rosters. So please keep that in mind as those events start coming up. And then let me check really quick. Let me make sure that they bring one of the counselors in. Okay, they're finishing up on the Spanish, so we'll definitely have them in a few more minutes. Miss Leticia, thank you for joining us.
Oh, Thank you. I thought the meeting was over when I joined because the counselor said if there's no more questions, have a nice evening.
Yes, that's why I sent you a message. I was like, no, we're going to start in a few minutes. So we broke it down into sections where we have the high school council present regarding the 4-year planning and A through G. Let's see the classes that the students are taking, CCGI, things like that. But now we're gonna have our counselor from Maricosta talk about the dual enrollment. That's why I sent you the message. I'm like, no, come back. You didn't miss it at all.
Okay, that's the one I was interested in. So thank you.
Of course.
Hi, Izzy.
Hi, thank you for joining us.
Yes, Taylor's finishing up. There was like a little technical issue in the beginning, but
No worries. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you. But let me introduce you really quick. Parents, this is Liz Leguizamo. She is one of the counselors at Maricosta College, and she oversees the dual enrollment. So Liz, go ahead and you have the power.
I'll go ahead and do this now. Oh, there's Taylor. He might have his PowerPoint up already. Taylor.
Hey.
I was just about to share screen, but if you have yours up, I think that'll be quicker.
Okay, let me, I'll pull it up right now. All right, thumbs up if you can see it. Awesome. So I'm not sure if Liz introduced us, but we are counselors at Maricosta College. We also teach some of the dual enrollment classes, both career and life planning and the college success classes, which we'll be talking about in a moment. What is dual enrollment? That's the, sort of the question that many people have, especially if you've heard the words concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is when we have an agreement or an arrangement with the local high schools. So we are creating these classes specifically for the high school students, in the sense that any high school student can take a class at Maricosta. However, they have a different process, different types of, the support is there, but they're going onto the college campus. And in many ways, in many cases, they're competing for these classes. So this is where we're actually providing these classes on the high school campus. They are taking it before, during, or after school. Sorry, we also do it online. They're receiving credit for both high school and college because it's that arrangement with them. Then we have it arranged to where the high school already knows you're going to be taking it and receiving that credit for high school. And this goes on to their college transcript. And these classes are taught as college classes. So it's college faculty. And some of the things that we do is really introduce them to what the college coursework and curriculum is like, providing that additional support, understanding that they are high school students. So we still hold them to the same expectations, but there's that additional support for it as well. So I just mentioned a few of the benefits to this, but very important to some, it's free. And that could be up to $506 per semester. That's dependent on, if they're taking, I think, up to 11 units. Some students, or a lot of students, might just be taking 1 or 2 classes. As I said, they get exposure to college level courses while they're still in high school. And that it's excellent at building that confidence to know, oh, I can do this work at the college level. A lot of these classes can be, they're either general education, or they can be for career exploration, or they could be a little bit of both. So for students who maybe haven't had as much exposure to different areas, different careers, this is a really great way to find out if it's something they might be interested in and get to know a little bit more about it. And if they do select that sort of pathway, this is they get a head start on that. You can see here, it offers students courses that might not be available in their high school. And so that kind of ties in with the career exploration of giving them more exposure to that. And then going back to that piece of building confidence, it can be intimidating for a student in high school to go right over and take college level classes on campus or even online. And this is done with their peers. So it makes it feel like it's a more safe and secure environment because they're with their same high school peers taking these classes. And again, because it's the arrangement with the high school, they're not competing to get into these classes with, you know, the entire community. There are usually much more availability. There's usually much more availability to get into these classes. Here are some classes that are available for this year. So we say the 2021-2022 school year. We're already partway through fall. So we're looking at if there are any 8-week classes for the second half of fall or for the spring semester. So you can see we have different math pathways. And that can be really helpful both for general education for the students, as well as depending on the math course, it could count for a one of their like major preparation courses. We have college success and sociology courses. So for example, college success would talk not just about some of the different success skills and strategies, things that will help them throughout their college career and in life as well, but also how to navigate the college system. That can be a major barrier for students because it can be very complicated. What do I need to do if I would like to earn a certificate, an associate degree, or what do I need to do if I need to transfer? This gives you a really good opportunity to get an overview of the requirements for all of that and how to navigate that system. And then we see a few here that are a little bit more career oriented. So hospitality management. Hospitality is a major industry sector here in Southern California, and specifically Oceanside and Carlsbad. As we know, downtown Oceanside has been developing so much in the last 10 to 15 years, and a lot of that is built on tourism. Child development, same thing. We have pathways that allow students to take all of the courses required to get permits through the state to be to work in child development centers, to work in preschools and settings like that. Same thing with the computer software and hardware. I teach that career and life planning class. That's a little bit less of the academic piece and looking more into things like how do we align a student's interests, skills, and values with different careers out there. And it also, especially since this is high school, we really take into account the fact that many of our students may not have had work experience or may not have had a lot of life experience. So how to think more critically about what they have done and start to do that exploration and know how to continue that exploration once they get into college or for as well as the rest of their high school career. And we have a few other courses on here that could be both general education or major related classes, fundamentals of design, world music, administration of justice, intro to film, all excellent options. And as you can see, we have them at different locations as well as online. So these are excellent options for students to consider. And they can always come in and speak with Liz or myself. In a few slides, I'll show you the our hours, and students can determine if any of these classes would be beneficial for them, and we can help guide them through to making selections. And these are just examples of the schedules. So this is for El Camino, and you can see that this is Tuesdays and Thursdays for the applied math analysis in the morning. So again, these are during school time. And every school is slightly different. So Oceanside High School and Surfside. And we have these. I'll put a link in the chat later. That is our dual enrollment schedule for this entire year. So you'll be able to look at the different courses that are offered, the times, and all of that, and get a better idea, and maybe have those discussions at home to determine if this is if this will be beneficial for your student. These are the steps to enroll. So your students will be first speaking with a counselor on their high school campus. And so, I keep using the word counselor because Liz and I are both counselors. In this case, they'll be speaking with their high school counselor to get that started, work on the intent to enroll form. They can absolutely speak with us ahead of time just to get a better idea of what this is like. And we can really just paint a picture of what that could be like once they get into the classes, but they'll need to speak with their high school counselor. They'll complete a MiraCosta application, and that's something that we can help out with. We also have student ambassadors that are at the high schools, and they can assist the students. And we will be having some workshops coming up for registration where we'll be assisting them as well. And because they are high school students, it's different than someone who's graduated from high school who's signing up for classes at MiraCosta. Our students for this program will need to complete a concurrent dual enrollment permit, which basically states that they have permission to take classes while they're still in high school. And again, we're there to support the students and make sure that we're walking them through the process. One of the things that I really like to let people know is that it can be a complicated process. So having those supports, like I said, Liz and myself and our student ambassadors, please take advantage of those, because otherwise it can seem very daunting and complex, and we can help walk students through it and even make connections if we need to contact anyone at the MiraCosta campus in admissions and records or the other areas where we do the processing for this. These are two examples of student experiences. So the experience in blue at the top is a student who took a sociology course. And one of the things that I really like about this is it talks about, I mean, of course, they're getting credit for both high school and college, but this is also something that they're taking that knowledge and applying it to their life and their worldview, how they interact in the world, how they see the world, and how they interact with other people. So this is like a very a good example of how someone took this and used it for personal development. I hope that all classes you get some personal development. The second example, though, shows how this can be used for professional development. So we talked about hospitality earlier, and this is a great example of a student using that to help propel them and get, as you can see at the bottom, an internship that led to a full-time position in this area. And so, you know, those hospitality classes can just be excellent to find out, is this something that I would like to do? Or actually any of those classes, find out, is this a career that I can see myself in, and help boost them, propel them into that career or further along in that pathway. And finally, we've got the where to find us. So, and I'll put the link in on the right-hand side. You can see when you go to our main webpage at miracosta.edu, there's an A to Z index in the upper right-hand corner. If you're on a mobile device, I think it's going to look a little bit different, but you'll still want to find the A to Z index. I think it's in the 3 bars that you would click for a dropdown. And you'll go to dual enrollment, and that's going to have more information about the program in general, as well as a link to the schedule. So you'll be able to see that. And then you see the hours that Liz and I are on your campuses. Liz has more availability. Liz, if you can put your email in the chat, that would be really helpful, because you can always email Liz and get more information from her. My email is the contact at the bottom of that. But as you can see, we have quite a few hours at all of the different high schools. So Wednesday afternoons, Thursday afternoons, and Friday mornings at both schools. In addition to that, in I think 2 weeks, we'll be offering some evening hours on Zoom. So if anybody would like to connect with us that way, that's another option. And we'll be sending out more information about that as well, how to schedule those. And then keep an eye out for, and I think your schools will be promoting this, or you might be getting it different ways, but Liz and I will be providing workshops over the next 2 months, just different types of workshops on different areas. For example, STEM is the next one that we have coming up. So that's something that students and parents can come in if they want to know more about science, technology, engineering, mathematics, to see, is that the field that we might want to go into? What does that look like career-wise? And as well as academically, what sort of academic pathways will I be following for that? And that takes us to the end. That was a little bit faster than the other one. Does anybody have any questions? And if we don't have any questions, Liz, do you have anything to add?
No, not at all. I think just to share that Taylor and myself, this is our first time, and this is actually the first year that we're collaborating with the high schools. I know the high schools just kind of see a lot of visits from MiraCosta in general, but we are now working on partnering and collaborating, which why we thank Europe specifically for allowing us to be here. So that's just something to share, and hopefully that in the next few years, it just becomes more of a way that we're more present, and everyone's more aware of the programs and services for students.
Mhm. And one question that came up in the other one, in case anybody's curious, is a recent policy change. In the past, there was a grade limit on who could take these classes. And so Liz was talking about how that has recently changed, and so ninth graders can take. And I was just curious, I'm not sure if anybody wants to can chime in, but what grade level your students are in?
I have ninth grader.
Ninth grader, okay. And Maria, I hope I just answered your question. They don't have to be seniors to take those classes, so they can come and speak with us. Some of the more challenging classes could be mathematics, especially if they require placement. So we can talk to the student in advance and find out what options might be best for them. So we have one, Meredith, your student's a ninth grader. What other grade levels do we have? And you're welcome to put it in chat as well.
My son is in 10th.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I see Liz put the dual enrollment link in, and then I just included the schedule link. So you can get to the schedule from that dual enrollment page. But if you want to go straight to the schedule, there's the link as well.
Taylor, if I can just ask for clarification, and I couldn't tell if it was already mentioned. Because of the dual enrollment, these classes, like you mentioned, they're going to be taking with their classmates at the El Camino High School, right? At the school center.
Or online.
Or online. Now, what happens with the books? Did we mention anything about books or fees when we have the dual?
So there won't be any fees. And we've created these classes to make it as, I think I used the word seamless earlier, but as frictionless as possible. And so we have what's called zero textbook classes. So they won't be needing to purchase any textbooks or any materials. All of that will be just part of the course, whether it's free material. I say free materials, but we have a lot that's offered. They're called open educational resources, or for example, in my class, it's a lot of handouts and online resources that the students are able to access, whether it's self-assessments or websites, programs that we subscribe to as the college that we'll pay for. So yeah, like I said, we try to make it as frictionless as possible. Hopefully that answers the question. And I see a few questions in the chat. So are there any specific requirements? Once again, it depends on math classes. We would need to get them placement. Liz can probably speak to that a little bit more as the academic counselor. But for example, a lot of those classes you see on there, whether it's sociology, college success, intro to film, things like that, no, there are no requirements. Well, the requirements are to apply to MiraCosta and register for the class, but otherwise there's nothing. Do those classes count as AP? They do not. The only thing that really counts as AP is if you take the AP exam. However, that's where, depending on the MiraCosta class, students would do that instead of AP. So for example, we're not offering calculus as far as I know, but if they were thinking, oh, well, I'm going to take calculus AB or BC as an AP exam, or US history, we have classes at MiraCosta that would count for those, and they would actually get the college credit and the experience of being in a class for that. Hopefully that answers the question about both AP and the specific requirements. Liz, anything to add with that?
No, yeah, you said it well. With the AP classes versus dual enrollment, And that's the thing too, I feel, because I couldn't even share with my experience in those years ago. As a high school student, I mean, I didn't feel very comfortable being in AP classes. But if I would have known dual enrollment, I think just getting the experience as, you know, taking a college class would have given me another buildup of confidence that I was ready to start college right after high school. So I would say there's not much of a difference. I think what's nice is that for students that want to do dual enrollment, it just gives them an opportunity to try something and be successful.
And speaking of that,
So I have a,
oh, sorry, go ahead,
I
Mary.
had a follow-up. That's okay. I have a follow-up to that then. So if it's not an AP, but it's just a class that they take, would that class then be one less class they have to take if they do get to college?
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay, so it still counts as a credit.
Yes.
Got it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
this
so
is
it's a
counting for
unit.
both high. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Liz.
No, it's a unit, so it's a college credit that's going to apply towards their unit. So like say, for
Mhm.
example, Maricosta student wanting to transfer, there's 60 units minimum that's needed. So any of those dual enrollment classes, on average, a lot of them are 3 units. So that's kind of, in a sense, decreasing their time if they do choose to come to Maricosta. I've heard recently of stories of dual enrollment students that have done many classes while in high school, and by the time they get to Maricosta, they eventually have possibly like even just a year left to get their AA.
Yeah.
No.
Or for example, oh, sorry, go ahead. Ace.
No, I was
Keep
going
going.
to mention as well, like, Liz, you mentioned like that if they go to Maricosta, it'll cover some classes. But based on my knowledge, the classes that dual enrollment is offering, it's actually transferable even to a UC or a CSU. Correct?
So that's where we would be helping
Mhm.
students to talk about how that does fit in with their academic plan. Discussing, is the class both UC and CSU transferable? Is it just transferable to one institution or the other? How that fits in with the students' goals. But yes, these are transferable courses. And you know, I'll give you the example of like intro to film or the world music. If a student says, well, I'm not interested in, you know, that's not my major, these classes, a lot of them, or I'd say most of them, were strategically chosen because, for example, you need a certain amount of arts and humanities courses, you need a certain amount of social and behavioral science courses. And depending on your major, these could be classes that don't conflict at all with the major classes, but they fulfill those general education requirements. So it's not just having the units, you know, and being able to say I've got some college credit and I did high school credit, but it's also actually progressing them in their academic pathway. And then what I was going to say earlier was both Liz and I think this is one of the benefits, and you'll get this with a lot of counselors. I think a lot of people go through MiraCosta as students and they just love their experience so much and are so passionate about the opportunity that it provides that we come back. Liz and I were both students at MiraCosta. Liz was a student throughout OUSD, Oceanside Unified School District. I was another city in North County, which I will not include here because I consider myself, you know, part of the Oceanside community at this point. My dad went to Oceanside High though back in the day, so I can rep that. But we've gone through that experience, and I think that really helps for students who are looking at this. And you know, at high school, there might be a lot of what I find is a lot of discussion about, not discussion, but maybe not as much information or knowledge about what you can do at MiraCosta or through MiraCosta, whether you're planning on going directly to a university out of high school, or if you are planning on attending MiraCosta, or as Liz said, students could be taking classes and literally finish a certificate or even an associate degree before they graduate high school, which to me is really impressive that that's an actual possibility.
Thank you both, Liz and Taylor, for this great time they gave us and the information. We are a little bit past 7 o'clock, so thank you, parents, for staying a little bit longer. Again, we really appreciate you coming. Our next workshop will be, and I promise I had it here, I don't know why I lost it, November 18, and we're going to be exploring more about the the technical classes. I know Ms. Kelly Brinkerhoff mentioned a little bit about the careers and technical pathways, and that's something that we will focus a little bit more on. Again, that information will be sent out to you via email, via text message. So let us know, and all three of us are here to help you in any question that you have. You have our contact information, so feel free to reach out to us whenever you need to. Other than that, have a great night. We really appreciate you here. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording. Thank you.